Hi, I'm Michelle Vickers.
And I'm Christine Beverly.
Welcome to the Consciousness Insider.
This week, our question comes from Wendy, and she writes to us, Dear Michelle, my 19-year-old, highly empathic, psychic, healer, etc. son suffers from addiction. He has been in and out of rehab for years. He is an amazing old soul who is meant for big things and still just a baby making adult decisions. We just needed to ask him to leave our home because he couldn't respect simple rules, and we needed to keep ourselves and the rest of our family safe. It is so hard to turn him away when I know how much he is suffering. I know it's his journey and only he can figure it out. We love him so much. How do I come to terms with feeling like we are abandoning him and God forbid he made a worse decision? How does one live with this? Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy. You know, as a parent myself, one of the most challenging things that we are ever faced with is that constant question of, are we doing a good job? And I don't think that ever goes away. I know that, my father still thinks that way, and I'm going to be 45 in a couple months. So, I think that it's a natural instinct to always want to do better and to always want to do the best that you can. But, there is a point in certain areas. So with your son, very specifically, he chose a lot of hard roads, okay? But he knew that coming in as a soul. And at the end of the day, it's tricky to navigate being human with knowing there's a bigger picture. I get it. Trust me. I have to question it every single day. And I think it's what allows me to go as deep as I do and to ask the questions that are so big, because that's what fires me, and that's what keeps me going, is those big questions and the ones that allow me to see both sides. So, it's really cool. Your soul is so loving and caring right now. And the energy is just so lovely. And your energy is, it's so beautiful. So your soul is just offering you so much healing right now. And then that's, that healing is specifically so that you can come back into a little bit more balance, because, dealing with this it takes your balance away. Your center is gone. You don't know where it is, and the first thing that your soul really wants you to understand and wants me to be very specific with is, you didn't do anything wrong. There is nothing that you did to make your son like this. There's nothing that his father did. They were his choices. And yes, he's an adult. I wouldn't say that he's, he'll always be your son, but he's not a child. He's absolutely an adult. And, right now, he's not interested in seeing the bigger picture. He doesn't want to. It's scary, and it's too big for him to accept on a physical level. With his mind, his energy is just too big for him. And yes, absolutely, he's empathetic. We're all empathetic. Human beings by nature are empathetic. And some of us tend to feel more than others based simply on the experiences that we've had that brought us into this life and the early generational years. He does feel deeply. There's nothing you or your husband did wrong in raising him at all. In fact, you did everything right so that he could discover those gifts about himself. And right now, he doesn't want to allow himself to accept that those things are true, because that means he needs to take more responsibility for himself and who he is in this world. And for him right now, that's too big for him to wrap his head around. Does that make sense?
It does make perfect sense.
So Yeah. And so what he's doing right now is he's using addiction to basically, like an ostrich, put his head in the sand so he doesn't have to see it. And you know what? That's really what addiction is. It doesn't matter if it's a substance, if it's an act, if it's, whether it's food, shopping, sex, it doesn't really matter what the addiction is. Addiction in essence is your brain is focused here so that it doesn't see over here. That's really all it is, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
I can relate to that.
Yeah,
personally.
it's just, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, I know it was in my past and there's still parts of me that are addicted to certain things, right? I have clients from all over the world that are addicted to all different things. One client I had a session with this week, and her addiction is drama. She's addicted to drama and she's overcoming that. So, but the reality is we have to allow ourselves to accept that what we're addicted to is basically what's blocking us. So right now he's not ready. And sometimes you have to, it's like you put him on his path more forcefully in order for him to see it. It doesn't mean you're turning away from him. It means you're choosing to allow him to make his own decisions. And that's empowering him. If he makes a decision that, he decides to go a different way, it's his decision. And I know that you're the one who has to live with it. But here's the reality. If you foster him not needing to take accountability, it's going to hurt more in the long run for him and for you, because he's never going to break the cycle because he doesn't have to. So you actually asking him to leave was probably the most powerful thing you could have done for him. It's up to him to decide which way he's going to go. Is it going to be something easy to live with if he decides to do something more dramatic and more drastic? There's no greater loss than losing a child. But at the end of the day, you have to allow him to make those decisions for himself, because by trying to fix him or help him by doing everything for him or trying to keep him safe, you're not letting him grow. And you don't let them, you're not letting him experience what he needs to in order to get on the side that he needs to go on. And he's going to have every single opportunity, left, right, and center. His soul's not giving up on him. No one's giving up on him. And you're not giving up on him. You're actually empowering him to make the changes he wants. I don't feel like you closed the door on him. I feel like you've allowed him to move on, but you've left the door open for him to communicate. You left the door open for him so that he knows when it is time for him to see the truth, that he knows that he can come. And I do feel like that energy, and you've created that space for him. Now you just have to trust. And what I would say is, don't feel bad for him. Because any pity energy you send to him, he feels it and he knows. And you know what that pity feels like? You don't believe in me. And I want you to try out sending him love, compassion, and respect, because those are going to be the most powerful and potent things you can do to support him. You don't have to say anything, but if you do say something, tell him you love him and that you trust him and that whatever choices he makes, you're always going to be there. And those things are more important, and it may not show up in the way that he wants you to be there for him, but it's the way that he needs it. And that's the bigger picture. And that's the part where we take accountability for our own actions. And the part that you need to take accountability for is how you're going to support. And he may not like that the door isn't open right now for living there, but he doesn't have to like it. That's what works for you. And in your heart, it's best for him. It's just a bigger picture. It's a bigger picture thing. That's all. That's just the way I can see it in the energy. So, allow yourself to be okay, but send him supporting energy, not pity. Don't feel bad for him, and don't worry that he's not going to make it or it's not going to be okay, because that's the part that undermines his ability to move forward. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, if Christine was sitting here right now and she was listening and she wasn't open to whatever I had to say, if she was criticizing in her mind, in her energy, you know, it would create a very different dynamic between the two of us, right? She wouldn't be supportive. It would be bringing the whole energy of the whole experience that we're offering down. So it's the same thing, you know, even though you may not be talking to him all the time, energetically send him what you want him to feel from you. And that's really what it comes down to. It's not sending him worry and fear, you know.
Yeah. I was just going to say, yep, not sending the fear.
Yeah.
That does not help him to move forward.
No.
It's not empowering at all for yourself or for him.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. It's focusing on the energy that you want to feed the relationship and for him to thrive, to grow, to evolve, to move forward, to become aware, to expand.
Intention, yeah, for his life.
Yeah.
The intention for his life. Hold that space.
In your heart, send it out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking your question. It's a big question, and I'm sure you're not the only one. There's many parents out there who are having very similar experiences. So thank you so much for having the courage to ask your question and share and be so vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And thank you very much for everyone who joined us today. We love having you with us. We love being in connection with you. And if you'd like to have your question answered by Michelle in your soul, go to michellevickers.com, the Consciousness Insider page, and at the bottom is the form. Fill that out and we'll hopefully be selecting your question in one of the upcoming episodes. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.